Hi, this is Regina Lawrence. I'm the middle school math coach for KIPP BC. I put together about a 10-minute video that I would like all of our special ed math teachers to watch. Anyone that teaches a small group math, special education math in a resource room. I want to highlight some information for you so that when you go to a regional network-wide PD on July 24th, you have an eye for which standards you should be teaching this year. So this will give us a quick overview. It should take about 10 minutes. Please make sure that you record any questions you have. Of course, I'll be around all next week to answer any questions, and then myself and your school leaders will be around throughout the course of the year if any other questions arise. Great, so my goals for this next 10 minutes is to set a common vision for middle school math special education, to identify some prioritized standards for 2017-2018, and to describe the process for deciding what to teach. For those of you who did do this plan last year with prioritized standards, some of the standards have changed, so please keep an eye out. Please do listen to this video. I think it's important, relevant information for you as well. First, I think it's important to front load for everyone. Our standards at one grade level are always linked to the standards from a previous grade level. And so when I talk about prerequisite standards, this is what I'm talking about. This is the Achieve the Core Wiring document. I'm going to go here for a second so you can see it as a PDF. It's also attached to this email. So you can see that in order for a student to learn the standard 5 MBT1 about place value involving decimals, they need to have mastered these 4th grade standards about place value involving whole numbers and decimals. And then in order to master, let's say 4 MBT1, if I look here, 4 MBT1, gosh, they got it mastered 2 MBT1. So all of our standards are aligned from year to year. It's called coherence. It's something to keep in mind as we look at the rest of this presentation. So in terms of our 6th grade small group math special education that happens in resource rooms, obviously we want students to be learning the grade level material. It's however unlikely that 100% of our students in these small group resource rooms will be able to learn all of the standards at all of the grade, at the grade level that they're at. So let's say that we have these standards A through G. It is unlikely that 100% of our students will be able to master all of these standards at the 6th grade level because they are coming in with so many deficits from previous grades. So in the past, years ago, what happened was that we were teaching maybe 6th grade standards up to the 4th grade level, but we weren't going all the way up into the 6th grade level. And the problem there is that we'll never get those 6th grade students back on their grade level, and they'll never be able to go back into their gen ed setting. They'll never be able to really do Algebra 1 in high school like they need to. Another thing that we tried in the past that definitely did not work was teaching primarily procedural skills. And the reason that this doesn't work is we kept having to teach these procedural skills year after year because students weren't retaining the information because it didn't make sense. So it's important to highlight that moving forward, we have to make sure that we're teaching students both the conceptual underlying understandings so that when we do get to a procedural skill, they understand the math behind that fluency. So in our vision, what we're going to do and what we've done last year is that we're going to highlight some prioritized standards. So instead of teaching our small group students in resource rooms all of the standards, we're going to take about half of the standards. And this half is going to be the major work of the grade, the work that they need to be back in their gen ed settings in order to perform at the next grade level in order to get into Algebra 1. And so let's say we're only planning on teaching standards B, E, and G. We're going to give a diagnostic, and through that diagnostic, we'll be able to figure out exactly where our students fall within these standards. So let's say with standard B, we give this diagnostic and we notice that this student is actually on a 3rd grade level. So we're going to have to go back and fill in those gaps on that 3rd grade standard first, then the 4th grade, then the 5th grade. And now we can teach the gen ed, now we can teach the regular grade level 6th grade standard. So this ensures that all students will reach their grade level standards on these prioritized standards. This was also a plan that we implemented in 2016-2017 that had really great results for our students, and teachers for the first time really felt like they understood what was a priority for their students to learn. So here's a snapshot of what this looks like this year. And I'm gonna pull us back out of this and just show you the Microsoft Word document. This is also attached to this email. So what you'll see in 5th grade is which strands we're planning on teaching, and within those strands, which standards we're planning on teaching. And you can see that some of these are also optional. The P and the C, what that stands for is that some of these are procedural, some of them are conceptual, and some of them are application standards. And so we can see that we're not only going to teach special education students procedural standards. That'll never get them back on the grade level that they need to be. And so in addition to saying what the standards are, this year I've also prepared which chapters these live in. So you can see that if I'm teaching all of these prioritized standards, it lives in chapter 1, and the estimated days that it would take a gen ed student is 8. And so when I add up all of these days here, I'm trying not to add up to more than 90, knowing that some of these lessons might take more than one day, and also knowing that you might have to go back and backfill some previous information from other grades that students haven't mastered yet. Great. And so, in terms of assessment, whenever you're doing the grade level lesson, you're welcome to take the daily online exit ticket that will be offered through Elluminate. That way you'll have your data, you can compare it to gen ed students. When you're doing a previous grade level, like a remediation or prerequisite skill, you'll be responsible for making your own exit tickets for that day. We'll also have extended exit tickets. So exit tickets that happen about every 2 weeks. Last year we received a lot of feedback that for special education we want those windows to be broader than 3 days, so we'll open up those windows even more this year. Our ANETs happen quarterly, and they assess all of the standards. So not just the prerequisite standards, but not just the prioritized standards, but all of them. And so there's no way we can change that. However, this year we're offering an ANET ARC report that will filter out the prioritized standards so you can see how your special education students did on just the standards that you taught. In terms of diagnostics, our diagnostics are going to be paper-based rather than on the computer. Diagnostics could be aligned to one standard or could be aligned to an entire strand. It's important to know that they're not completely comprehensive and it's not a complete science. The idea is to give the diagnostic to get a gist of where our students are at, and obviously you might want to at that point dig a little deeper and figure out exactly fine-tune exactly what they know and don't know through conversations with kids or through other do nows or exit tickets. Great, so I'm going to show you an example of a diagnostic. Here is a 6th grade diagnostic. This is the 6th grade RP diagnostic. And what you can see is that we actually start at the 3rd grade level, and then we move up to the 4th grade level, and eventually 5th grade level. And so we get a good sense of what our students are able to do and not do in order to prepare where we want to start teaching. I also have a results tracker here, and so the idea would be that you would write in students' names here in the top row, and you would give them a check or an X if they got it right or wrong. Instead of an X, you're welcome to put an A. Let's say it's a multiple choice item, and let's say the correct answer was D, and you can see that the majority of your class answered C, so you're not going to know exactly what that misconception is that you want to highlight and reteach before you move into the grade level standard. So how to do the diagnostic? You would give it, and then reflect on what skills and knowledge they have and have not yet mastered. Identify where you need to dig a little deeper. If your students are on grade level, then please start with the grade level curriculum. So in 5th grade, you'll use MyMath. In 6th grade, you'll use OUR. You want to understand the standards that you're going to teach. A really great place to do this is corestandards.org or achievethecore.org or MyANET. You want to calendar out the topics and assessments, and I would say for a special ed small group resource rooms, it is about in 2-week chunks is a really good amount of time to calendar out how far in advance you want to be. And then you want to find resources to support your instruction. This is more if you have to go back and do some prerequisite work. So a great place to look would be Math Gen Ed teacher as your school leader. If you have to go back to 5th grade, use the 5th grade MyMath materials, everything from last year's on box. If you're going back to a previous grade in 6th through 8, you'll use OUR. And then if you have to go all the way back to 1st through 4th grade, use this website, and the password is math. Another great place would be Elluminate and ANET. Great, so I also want to show you 2 really quick things. this is going to be attached, right? So our diagnostics are always going to match up with what information we find here. And then the other place that I mentioned was achievethecore.org. And this is the same, right? It's a coherence map. What's nice about this website, however, is if you want to map the standard, you can dig a little deeper. Sorry. You can read the language of the standard, and then they often have a task for you to look at, so you can actually see what that standard looks like. And so you could give this task to reassess your students too, and determine when you're ready to teach the grade level work. Again, please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be around all week. And as soon as I get all of your emails, all this stuff will be on Box in the Math Special Education folder. All right, thank you so much, and have a great day.